Freedom of Information Act. FOIA.
Easy Watchdog News Network.
Alright, Watchdogs, welcome back to the circus, where the clowns wear nameplates and the popcorn is paid with your tax dollars. Tonight, we're getting the follow-up to that city council meeting the other night in Wortham, Texas. The investigation, the timeline, and exactly how this mess unraveled when Otto and I showed up with cameras, statutes, and receipts. Spoiler alert. The rules still apply even when you've got a fancy title and a gavel you want off Amazon. We're shining floodlights on the, oops, did we really break the law routine? Because transparency isn't a suggestion. It's the job description. You'll see how this came to light, who tried to hide the bulb, and why accountability makes certain officials sweat harder than a speed cop at a donut 5K. If your delicate sensibilities are allergic to oversight, there's a big red X at the top of the screen. For everyone else, strap in, lace up. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And tonight, we're gonna pressure wash the hell out of it. Now, do your part. Smash that like button. Drop a comment with what you think. Share this everywhere. And subscribe to the channel. Let's go.
Wherever. It don't matter to me.
We're just stinky, so don't smell us.
Oh, that'd be all right.
It only rains all day.
All day.
Hey, that's fun though.
So if I say, huh?
Hey, yeah, it was probably a little release for us, actually.
Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing that I have to ask as far as my part of it goes is, so, and I mean, I can tell you, so I have an official complaint that I have to investigate on Ashley for turning over a report that she should not have had. I have a statement from Ashley as to what was done, but I guess I need to hear your side of it.
Okay. I called Jeremy Shipley. Told him I put hearsay at the high school for some of our students have been involved in an accident that involved alcohol, trying to follow up on it. He said names, and I told him who it was. He said, let me see what I can do. I'll give it to you. I got it to me. I didn't know how he was going to give it to me. I guess a day or two later, Ashley brought it up there and said that someone had given her giving me, sent her giving me. Now, after meeting with Kelly Who, she's already talked to county records and she knows who handled it, who did everything. Somebody named Travis, which I don't know who that is.
There's Travis Martin, NCID.
Okay. Evidently, Jeremy called dispatch or Travis or someone and said, get this report, blah, 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 to high school. And I guess he gave it to Ashley and Ashley brought it to me. I didn't even know who Travis was. I just knew. I called Shipley and a day or two later Ashley brought me the report.
Okay.
Now, where it happened in between there, I'm not privy to. Kelly Who knows because she spoke to someone in records.
Or she says she
Or she says she
Yes.
Yeah.
She's saying a lot of things aren't true, so.
Yeah. She's saying a lot of things that aren't true.
Yeah. So the issue with the report is that in law enforcement we have rules to follow. And I have the report that Travis sent Ashley. And I specifically asked Ashley, what did you do with it? And she said, Travis sent it to me, I printed it off, I took it, gave it to David. And she said, I didn't read it, I didn't look at it. And I said, okay. So the problem being in law enforcement is we cannot release identifying information from anybody. And we are we're not supposed to release any information, including names, on juveniles. Now, I don't know how old the girl is. Maybe she's 17, maybe she's not. So there's a fine line on that, being, you know, in as far as juveniles, minors, all that stuff. In Wortham, if we release a report, it's supposed to come through the chief. It's supposed to come through me. I would have never released that report if it was sent to me. If it was sent to me and said, would you take this to the school, I'd have said, sure. And then I'd have looked at it and said, nope, I'm not taking this. You send me a redacted report and I'll take it, but not like this. Better yet, here's David Hayes' email. He's the one who asked for it. You send it to him, leave me out of it. So what it boils down to is Ashley released law enforcement sensitive information to a non-law enforcement agency. And she's in a bind over it. Now, what y'all do at the school, that's y'all's business. I have no control over that. But as far as what, I mean, Ashley's in trouble. And I don't know how deep yet, but pretty bad. I mean, it could go all the way to termination for her doing that. Because she shouldn't even have been involved in it.
Right, no, she,
I don't know.
I don't know. Like I say, the only person I spoke with was Jeremy Shipman.
Okay. Yeah, I do not know.
I hate that. I hate it, because we did not enlist her help.
No.
Okay. Well, and she's, I mean, she had to take off. I suggested to her to take off this week. She didn't want to at first, but I think she finally decided it was best, at the very least. And like I said, I don't know where this is going to go. It's going to have to go before the city council, and they'll decide. So, I mean, I don't know.
She was never brought up in the conversation at all.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, she printed it and brought it up here to you, and she should not have. You should never have received that report that way. Now, if, you request a report, that's between you and that agency. You request a report from Wortham, and I'm not saying it ain't okay to ask Ashley if you can get a report from Wortham, but she's supposed to bring it to me and say, hey, David Hayes is requesting this report. Can we give it to him? And if it doesn't involve you directly, the way I handle it, say for instance, you reported that somebody stole something out of your truck up here at the school. And then a month later you say, hey, can I get a copy of that report? Sure, I'll just print it out. It's your information, your stuff. You don't have to go through all the red tape to get a copy of it. It's you. If you're asking me for a report on somebody else, then I'm going to make you send in an open records request to get it, so I can protect myself and my department. Even though that wasn't our report, she still released it. She's a police officer. She's supposed to know better than to release that kind of information without that report being redacted. Because with the Holly Erler thing on there, it had her driver's license number, her date of birth, all that stuff. And we can't release that ever. If somebody requests a crash report from an accident, that information is redacted before they get it. So if you have a wreck and your insurance company wants it, your driver's license number, date of birth is not going to be on there, because that's identifying information that we are not allowed by law to release. So, I've done met with a DA. He's looking into it a little bit deeper. By our policies, I have to inform Ashley that she has a complaint. I've opened an internal investigation into it, and she hasn't been relieved of duty yet, but like I said, she's taking a week off.
How quickly will this happen? Is the city council meeting?
City council meeting is next Tuesday night, and then we will hopefully be able to decide. I'm waiting on statements from the sheriff's office. So, what would be best if I could get a statement from you as to how you obtained that report and how you requested it, so I can put it in with everything else to.
Just email it to you.
Yeah, you can just email it to me, it'd be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I screenshotted the time I called Shipman and everything, so I got the
Well,
exact time there.
when I talked to him, he told me the date and the time out of his call log. So he told me that you did, but he's writing a statement. Dylan Thompson's writing a statement. And Travis Martin is writing a statement. They're supposed to, hopefully they'll send it to me tonight or tomorrow.
I'll email you tonight when I get home.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Well, I hate they involved her then.
Yeah, because we should have had nothing to do with this.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, this should have been all y'all. So I don't, which I mean,
Well, since it was out of our jurisdiction, I never even mentioned to her at all anyway. I mean,
Well,
there was
and,
no reason to talk to
you know, and I tell I tell everybody. I tell Ashley this, I tell other officers this, I tell other people this. It's not our business. If it doesn't involve Wortham Police Department, then it ain't your business. I mean, I'll have an officer come tell me, hey, this is going on, just thought you need to know. Doesn't bother me. Has nothing to do with Wortham Police Department. If it don't involve one of my officers or this department, then I'm not worried about it because it's not my problem. I have enough problems to deal with on my own without worrying about other people's problems. So, yeah, I don't know what's gonna come of this, but yeah. So,
Which is her point, Kelly Booth, is that we should never have the information to kick her off the team, is what her point is.
So they take away what she did.
So I told her it doesn't remove my knowledge.
But I got the information from DPS when they came up and
Yeah.
talked to me. They told me the exact same thing. I got a statement from DPS that she was under the influence. But
That's why she's mad, is that we received a report that we shouldn't have had, and we wouldn't have had the knowledge. Or we would have had knowledge that 3 individuals were,
Not we.
we wouldn't have their names.
somebody at the SO got involved in it.
somebody, which I mean, you know, I mean, I get it. Ashley's upset about it, and she, you know, at first she's not understanding what she did wrong, but I'm like, this was none of our business. You should have never carried that report up there. You should have said no. You know, that's all you got to do is say no. That's all you got to say. But
So are there call logs with SO reaching out to her to do it? Or was it through email or?
I'm waiting on Shipley on that. If it's cell phone to cell phone, there's not going to be call logs. That's who. If she called somebody, that's who she called. She called on a cell phone. She didn't call through the office or anything. So, I mean, to get all that, I'll probably have to subpoena it, but I really don't want to go that far. If I can just get statements from everybody, we can probably wrap all this up. As far as, well, at the very minimum, she's probably going to get written up permanently, a permanent write-up.
Is there another time? I didn't know there was not a permanent, I thought all rights were permanent.
Well, now there used to be, you could get written up for something, and if you didn't do it again within a certain amount of time, it could get pulled out of your file. But if I'm not mistaken, I think that law's changed, and I think now any disciplinary records in a police file remain there indefinitely. I'll have to look into that, which, I mean, we have attorneys that cover that. So, I mean, I know Ashley's called TMPA to get her representation. But, I mean, I don't want to run her off.
No, I know you don't.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, she's definitely valuable to me and the department, and but she's just gotta, I mean, you gotta think before you do things, and don't get involved in stuff that you don't need to be involved in. Just because you know somebody or you're friends with somebody here doesn't make it all right.
See, who brought that up? That her and Travis are BFFs. I don't even know who we're talking about.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Yeah. Of course, you know, there's been a lot of stuff said, and I don't know how true it is, but, you know, and then there's other things going on in the department that kind of, you know, adds to this a little bit. But I'm trying to keep all that separated. But after I get the statements and everything, then we'll go to the city council, and I'll,
Ask for your recommendation.
yeah, and I'll make a recommendation, and then we'll go from there. But that doesn't mean that that's what they have to go with.
I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, the decision is mine, but I can't 100% just go against what they want to do if it's within bounds. So, I mean, and I would think that you would be in the same boat with the school board if you say, hey, I think this is what we need
They always
to.
ask for what I think.
they still have
They're
the,
gonna,
yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
to this point, it's been, they've just gone, you know, we all discuss it, but that's why I ask, you know, hopefully you'll have that influence to be able to.
Yeah. You know, and other people have asked me the rules, and, you know, this got brought up to me the other day, but, you know, they say, well, you know, can they even punish a student for doing something off campus? I don't know.
Absolutely.
You know, I look it up.
And now it's even, with the legislation, even more so.
Yeah.
Even more so with the new legislation. Used to, they did it, you know, DAP, for DAP. They had to be within 500 feet of a camp, you know, it's not that way anymore. So really, if we really want to get technical about it, we could probably, but it's not a felony. What she's not, you know, I don't think what the trooper said.
This is a misdemeanor.
So,
It's a Class C misdemeanor.
yeah, so probably not for her, but now we can. It opens up like that, all that bullshit with Kamani, with all of this. I mean, we probably could have kept him, not that it didn't all work out, but we could have kept him off for the rest, if the law had changed before.
But now my understanding, she was not intoxicated. Yeah, because
Okay, so we've watched the body cam clips. We've pawed through the chief's paperwork, and I've got questions like, why does this district run serious matters like an open mic night at the teacher's lounge if a confidential report really leaked to someone who wasn't supposed to see it? That's not an oopsie daisy. That's a criminal problem under the Texas Public Information Act, Government Code 552.352, which literally says distributing or misusing confidential information is a criminal offense, punishable by up to 6 months in county and or $1,000 in fines. And bonus round, it also counts as official misconduct. So if anyone in this chain is handing out protected records like raffle tickets, that's not bad judgments. It's a statute with teeth. And since we're talking schools, let's remember, if staff forced a student into anything resembling a strip search over a phantom vape pen, the Supreme Court has already given schools a giant neon no on that. In Safford versus Redding, 2009, a 13-year-old girl was made to expose underwear for ibuprofen pills. The court held that that kind of intrusion is categorically distinct and requires specific, strong justification tied to the infraction. Ibuprofen wasn't it, and humiliation wasn't supposed to happen to this young person. Closer to home, the Fifth Circuit, right here in Texas, in Littell versus Houston ISD 2018, let parents sue the district after a mass underwear search of 22 girls when $50 went missing. Because shocking, no training plus invasive searches is a recipe for constitutional liability under 1983 lawsuits. Translation: even if someone thought this was just school discipline, like some of you bootlickers out there, the law calls it what it is: unreasonable. On the criminal side, if any public servant conducted, ordered, or enabled a search they knew was unlawful, that's official oppression. That's my favorite penal code, 39.03. Usually a Class A misdemeanor, and worse if certain conditions apply. It also covers denying someone their rights while knowing your conduct is unlawful. Not exactly the line item you want on a school's resume. And since this involves a child, everyone in Texas needs a reminder. Suspected abuse or conduct harmful to a child's welfare triggers mandatory reporting under Family Code 261.101. For professionals, that report is due within 24 hours. Missing that deadline isn't just a paperwork slip. It can be a crime to fail to report. So here's where we are. Potential confidential record misuse, Government Code 552.352, potential unreasonable search in the case law of Safford and Littell standards, potential official oppression of 39.03, and possible mandatory reporting issues, Family Code 261.101. That's not kids will be kids. That's laws will be laws. All right, enough warm up. Let's get the prosecutor on the line, Mr. Brian Evans, and ask straight up what this looks like in front of a grand jury. Remember, those proceedings are secret by statute under the Criminal Code of Procedures Article 20A.1 6.202. But the decision to present a case is the DA's call. Let's see whether these facts, as alleged, are going to walk into that room. Phones up, volume up, dialing the attorney now.
This is Brad.
Mr. Evans.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to just tell you who I am, sir, so that way you don't think I'm a crazy person.
Gotcha.
My name is Basil Zangari. I'm an independent journalist and an activist. Some people may call me a First Amendment auditor. I usually get offended by that term because that's not what I do. Okay?
Gotcha.
Now, I did have some people reach out to me. I've been helping some communities out here with some rogue elements, corrupt government, certain things, and I like to do a thorough investigation before I get any kind of agencies involved to where it may include charges. This one I've kind of really proceeded at this point because it involves children at a high school. And right now I do have one instance where I'm getting the internal affairs investigation this week, and what I have a problem with is the chief only gave her a written reprimand. She should have been fired and charged with either a misdemeanor. I don't know if the elements for the intent on well, let me tell you what I have. Okay, she has admitted to violating 552.352, obtaining records from another agency and giving them out with juvenile information not redacted to a principal at the local high school. And what they did was
Tell me that code section again.
That what now? 552.
That code section.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
552.352. It falls under the public information laws. It's giving out information regarding the record without proper protocol. Now, I mean, I know you could probably go abuse of office, misuse, misconduct, official misconduct, but the one that I was looking at was the 3706. But I don't know if it fits the element of intent because she gave it to the principal who was asking for it. Now I don't know if there was a way to possibly prove that there's intent to defraud or harm anybody because she was asked to get it. So I don't know if that statute would meet those elements. However, 552.352 is a clear and prosecutable indicator. Now, if I brought you everything with exhibits and the criminal complaint typed up by the parent, and this is just the one incident I have at the high school that has proceeded this far, would you be willing to at least prosecute this? And I know for a felony, I know you need to go to a grand jury. I don't think you can do a grand jury with a misdemeanor.
I can. It's not normal. You are correct. It's not normal. There are things that sometimes I take to grand jury to get their opinion on things. And so I've done some more, like this one may fit the bill for me in my mind to maybe go in front of a grand jury.
And I would be okay with that instead of swearing out a warrant because, look, I want to do everything by the book. I want due process. I believe in due process. I've talked to prosecutors about other people's cases. I've had them look at it, and they've dropped the charges. I'm not a lawyer. I know enough about the law. I do enough homework to make sure that my investigations are thorough because I don't want to be wrong.
What's considered on that statute, obviously it's the first time.
Sure.
Well, not obviously, but this is the first time I've really looked at this. What's considered a juvenile? Like, because criminal law, it's under 17.
The girl was 17. The girl was 17, and it fits under the Family Code 58.008. She's still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Wortham police officer.
Well, I kind of know. You can tell me what you know, but I know. I know what you're getting at.
Okay.
So I kind of
understand. Are you familiar with this? What I'm talking about? Ashley Daniels.
Somewhat. I mean, rumor-wise, yes. I haven't received a file on it or a case on it or anything like that, right? So there's certain things that I'm aware of that happen in the community, but for me, until my
I went to the city council meeting last night where they were talking about it in closed session. They came out and left it up to the chief. The chief said He told me personally he was going to have a written reprimand for her. I told him that wasn't good enough with her being a corporal. She should have been demoted and suspended. And only because she told the truth to you that she gave it out should she only keep her job. But she could be facing charges. So he said, well, she's never had anything in her file, so he was just going to do a written reprimand. And he assured me that with my records request, I should have that investigation by no later than Monday. He told the parent by Friday for her. I plan on handing that over to you, so that way you could take. I would like to put it together on a flash drive with exhibits or email it to you. I want you to have it all. I want to hand it to you just as if I was a lawyer bringing it to you. Like I said, I do a lot of things pro se myself. But I'd like to bring this to you on a ribbon, just with a little red ribbon bow on a silver platter, so that way if you do decide you want to look at it and prosecute, you don't have to do a lot of work. I'm not trying to make it difficult for you. I know it's going to be difficult trying to prosecute a police officer because everybody thinks that they're all perfect and can't do no wrong, and that's the problem that I'm having with a lot of people that sit on juries, especially in places like Tarrant County. But I also have another instance at the school that the chief refuses to investigate. There was a coach who took a 14-year-old girl at the time. She had just turned 15 this week. So into the locker room based on a tip of her having a vape pen, made her lift up her shirt in the locker room. And when there was an undershirt on, she asked her to go ahead and move around her boobs or breast. It was one of those words, to see if there was a vape pen. Now, no parent or principal was notified until the daughter came and told the mother a week later of what happened. And now they're circling the wagons again like they did on this first incident. I know they have a school board Monday, and I'm going to be going to that meeting as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why you see a lot of school districts have school resource officers, right? I think that's what the chief's getting at. I don't think the chief can just potentially. I can, I guess, but...
Well, you investigate a crime, right? You can go around and still file a complaint, get sworn statements, and get people's statements of what happened, get their text messages.
Yeah, has the mom or the student made a formal complaint with the police?
I don't know if she has. I know she reached out to me.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's dealing with if you investigated, and I think that's what they should do. I mean, if it was my daughter, I'd make a formal complaint with the police, and I bet you he would investigate it. But I think if you're talking about investigating rumors of wrongdoings at schools, he would be up there all week long. And so if nothing formal's been given to him, I'm kind of in the same spot, right? Like I hear rumors all the time.
Right.
And unless somebody like you calls and say, hey, Brian, I'm going to bring you this and I want you to look at it. I'm like, hell yeah, bring it on. I will look at it and I will give it my full attention and see what needs to be done. I'm not going to drive to Wortham and try to figure it out on my own. That's not my job, really. There's a hierarchy here. And so I definitely see you're going in the right direction, and I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying to have the chief's back a little bit on that is, my first question would be like, did somebody make a formal report to police? Made a formal complaint with him at his office, and he refused to.
Well, she said something about he told her that the school wasn't his jurisdiction. Now, like I said, that's hearsay what she told me, but when I asked the chief about it, he told me the same lines that, well, I don't have nothing to do with the school. You do if there's a crime. Oh, if there's a crime, we would investigate. Well, pulling someone in a locker room and not saying anything and flipping up, that's a crime.
I'm saying from criminal liability and what a jury would care about, right? The officer thinking that the principal would, I'm not saying this is right. Again, I'm playing devil's advocate of what's a crime and what a jury would care about. Because I think those are two different things sometimes.
Sure.
The officer trusting the principal with confidential information that the principal has access to some, not this, but right, of him understanding that and not releasing it to a certain extent. I think that the officer could I think that the focus could turn to the principal's wrongdoing as the person who got the officer in trouble, and then what you're claiming, doctor documents, and then kind of release that information to the general public. If the officer had given it to the principal read it, was made aware of the situation, never told anybody, never took formal action, but was just aware of what's going on off a campus, then you wouldn't have this issue. The same way as this coach situation, you're kind of, to me, it seems like you're hurdling over the school, which if you're the principal or if I'm the principal, I'm getting to the bottom of that, I'm probably firing the guy. Right. Be damned what the law enforcement does. I don't care what their investigation would be. Right. I'm going to handle my campus. It seems kind of like, and I think your focus is fine. It's intriguing to me because it feels like everything you're saying, I don't know if my focus is on the PD or on the school.
I never knew that she had, or that they have obtained that record.
Oh, I get that. Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. With the principal, would you be looking at the principal for the same type of charge?
Well, if you could find that it would be prosecutable, yes, or maybe even conspiracy. I just don't know if you have the right element.
Maybe because of why you said. I'm not discounting that by any means, but again, we can deal with like formal titles, but she's a school resource officer, and so that's why the principal is calling her, is because she comes to campus and she helps him deal with issues. I'm not saying that's right, and by no means am I arguing with you that this is not something that you need to look into. I'm just cutting through the red tape formality of all of it, and that's what happened. He called his school resource officer, said, hey, we got a problem. I hear this bad thing happened off campus, and I need to know about it. The school resource officer, again, I'm using that term loosely, found the information for kind of her boss, if you will, gave it to him. I'm assuming trusting he wouldn't release that information to anybody, right?
Well, I don't think there was any, on her end, I don't think there was any intent to harm. That's why the other element of that felony doesn't fit the bill. However, the misdemeanor does, and then you've got the official abuse of office or official misconduct.
Yeah, and again, I'm by no means. I'm kind of getting.
I'm just shooting ideas. I'm just shooting ideas because you're the one that's got to ask for the indictment, and you got to know. I'm just bringing it to you, and I'm just throwing ideas to see what you would need from me and how we would tackle this. Because here's my thing: I don't need another rogue officer, or I don't need her to do it again, thinking I got a written reprimand. I can do it again.
I agree 100%. And again, we're kind of brainstorming. I just can see the argument where a jury is going to be like, wait a second, she's not the wrongdoer. He's the wrongdoer. And just so I'm understanding too, your focus, which again I respect, is the punishment for the officer is not on par with what you think it should have been given the action.
Correct. And I'm not saying that, it's like officer using discretion. If I was to get stopped or you were to get stopped, okay? Now, I know you wouldn't throw your DA credentials up there because you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't abuse your power. You wouldn't tell the officer that you're the DA of the... we would do that. And I'm using that word sarcastically because I hope you wouldn't do that.
Right, which is why, and I don't know about that answer. And again, that could be your best argument of why even ask for the information.
But how would I lock this principal in? Because you know what, I understand where you're going with this. I really think that she should be at least charged with the misdemeanor.
No, and I'm not saying, believe me, I'm not saying charge. I'm going to charge the principal. I'm not saying that because I'm just.
But but where am I at with the principal? Because it's the officer that did the wrong. He got her to do something wrong, and even if it's under false pretenses, how would we lock the principal in for doing or manipulating the officer on what the officer did?
I'm just saying that's going to be what I'm preparing you for. That if this is not a great criminal case on the officer, it's for that reason. Okay. Because I can make the argument that another person who's bound, not by officer, but let's be honest, by professionality, to keep understanding the information that he's getting and what is actionable on that information and not. You see what I'm saying?
We can always go this route. We can do other avenues. We could always have you referred to the Public Integrity Unit with the Rangers for an investigation. We could also have I can go to a magistrate and have it signed off. Or we can probably go to the Department of Justice, FBI. Like I said, I'm trying to get you to do it on your level because it's It's level 1. It's where I'm supposed to go, because if I go any higher and I send you this out, I don't want to get you.
And you need to turn it into me. That's where this conversation has always
Right,
been. Like,
right.
hey man, turn it in. Me and you are smart enough. We can skip to the end game. Is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
You know where this is
My whole
going,
thing
and
is, I can get you the pieces, but I want to know where you're thinking on this, because
And I think that what I want you to do is turn in what you gather. We're going back to square one.
Okay.
And if I feel like it rises to the level of a crime, yeah, I'm surprised. You're talking about the coach situation.
Yes, sir. Coach Crystal Allen.
Did she go up to the school? Is there an internal investigation or some type of complaint she can make with the school and
She's tried.
The
There's an issue with the principal. The same one that had Ashley Daniel get the record. He's the one that's playing gatekeeper on all this stuff. I tried to make like I said, it's just funny that I requested a records request yesterday at 3:30 after getting off the phone with the mom to the city regarding, because the school board email bounced back for whatever reason. So I did a records request requesting that statement, all the statements that were made by that coach, okay? And then I called the superintendent's office. They told me that they were in a meeting. Well, 30 minutes later, the mom's calling me saying that she just got off the phone with the superintendent, and now the coach wants to change her statement. That's just weird. That's just weird that in a 30-minute window that I do a records. And the crazy thing is, the city secretary where I sent the request, she used to work for the school district over there. So and I'm not saying, I mean, it's just circumstantial, but it's pretty coincidence all with the timing that it all happened within the 30-minute window of me calling and sending an email. And I didn't even tell the school when I asked for the superintendent. I never even told him why I was calling. I just said there were 2 separate incidents that I'm calling about that I'd like to talk to the superintendent, make her aware, and see if she had any comment. Because I operate as an independent journalist when I'm investigating some stuff, and I also act as an activist once I find this stuff, and I try to bring it to, people like yourself with DAs, and here you go. What do you want to do with it? I mean, I expose the corruption. If the district attorney doesn't want to pursue it, I'll go over his head and I'll go further up, and then he'll be included in my stuff. If he wants to take it to a grand jury and the grand jury decides, well, he's done what I've asked. That's all they can ask.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the conversation. I think we're both saying the same thing. So, yeah, I would have her. What I would do, again, I don't know what kind of traction you're going to get. I don't know how that works.
I mean, I don't mind ruffling the feathers. I don't mind ruffling the feathers. That's what I do. But I'd also like to be able to do this the correct and legal way. And, everybody gets due process. The parent, the student, the officer. I'm about due process. I know it's a myth. And it seems like it's a myth in certain places, but
that at all. I think that what you're looking at, again, me and you have had a higher level conversation about where I can see the defenses for what you're trying to pursue, right? Like from a jury caring, not the law, but the jury just not giving a crap, which, believe me, I run into every now and again on certain cases. So I would yes, if I were that mom and I was not getting traction with the school, I would go make a complaint to law enforcement.
Okay.
That's what I would do. I agree, depending on what charge we're talking about, but the one charge is just whether the officer released it to the school. And so I think bringing the victim in almost creates a motion where the charge has nothing to do. I know they're the victim, but you see what I'm saying? It would just be literally proving the steps of the officer giving it to the school and why a grand jury should care about that, right? A good amount of thinking on this. I feel like I've given you some good answers. I feel like any other answers I give are not completely thought out. I think that you need to give me whatever it is that you want to turn in to me. Then we will review, and then we will get in touch with you to tell you how we feel about that.
Okay. But yeah, I appreciate Mr. Evans. I appreciate everything. And like I said, as soon as I get everything together, we can readdress this at a later date, either next week or a couple of weeks from now.
Yeah, hey, that sounds great. I really appreciate your call and appreciate talking it out with me, and just be in touch when you get that stuff together.
Yes, sir. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, that's the circus for today's show. Thanks for watching and for surviving the part where common sense took a personal day off. Now, District Attorney Brian Evans, we're looking at you. You said you'll take this to a grand jury. Fantastic. We'll be right here, stopwatch in hand, waiting to see if those words do push-ups or just sit there looking pretty. Before you go, if you want to help this channel, keep the lights on and the pressure up, become a channel member, drop a donation below, or snag some merch. Because accountability sadly isn't covered by the school district's budget. I'll be at the school board meeting this Monday to put them on notice, politely, of course, with facts, receipts, and the energy of 1,000 disappointed parents. Remember, sunlight is still the best disinfectant. So like the video, drop a comment, repost this everywhere, and subscribe so the algorithm doesn't conveniently misplace us. I'm your boy BZ Watchdog. Stay loud, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next video.